Hey guys, welcome to today's episode, I should say tonight's episode of 10-Minute Kick-Ass Coaching from the road. I'm in Westchester County still. I'm headed back to my home in New Jersey tomorrow, and I head back up here to do some work, and I've got a few more appointments next week, so it's going to be kind of on and off on the road. And today I want to talk about something that it's kind of an important subject, and there's a big distinction between the difference. I wanted to try and put this on a word format and really break it down what one is versus the other, but it's branding versus positioning, and there's a big difference between the two. And one I think is a little less relevant to most small businesses today versus other, but I can tell you that they are both very, very important. So best way to describe the two: branding is something Coca-Cola does, something Stanley Steamer does, something Maytag does. Look at when people say, I want to buy a Whirlpool. It's Whirlpool. I want to buy a Maytag, or buy a Maytag or FedEx something. I want to FedEx something. Well, that's FedEx, obviously. So branding is something a larger company's done over time. It's something that's been going on, and they've spent a lot of money, usually hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, to bring in their particular section of the marketplace by branding themselves. McDonald's is really your biggest brand you can think of out there, and they've spent a ton of money and a ton of years to build that up, and it's pretty awesome. But it's not something every single business could do, and small businesses certainly cannot. They can try and brand themselves, quote unquote, to the people that work with them, but that's more called positioning than branding. So positioning is about being seen as an authority or being seen as the professional to your market base, to the people who are, hey Don, how are you? To your market base, and to the people that will give you business, that know you, trust you, like you. That is more about positioning, and that's where I've spent most of my career, is worrying about positioning, especially when I left the larger companies and went on my own. I had to learn the difference between the two, and I thought branding, well, great, I'll put an ad in the phone book and buy a page, half page, and that'll be awesome, and my phone will just ring. Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way even if you're doing it online. It hasn't really changed. Just different media between the original ways of doing something on the phone book versus going online today. Again, branding you is nice. It's just not a very applicable thing to a small business when it comes right down to it. But positioning yourself to be the brand that they want to use, and that's a different story altogether. And I've always been seeing people that work with me or have worked with me in the past, whether it's in the restoration field or it's in the coaching field, I've branded myself to them. Actually, I should say I position myself as a brand to them. So they see me as whatever I'm able to do is to offer service and help and grow. I just spoke with a very nice kid tonight, very nice guy, I should say, down in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and he's just getting into the flood restoration business, and he really wants to build up, and it seems like he's really built up something nice. Very, very nice guy. And I think he really has a great head on his shoulders. I've had a discussion. So my big thing is I may not work with him now. I may not be able to help him necessarily right now because he's just really kind of starting that out. But he's already got a great established position in the marketplace. Not a brand, because, again, a brand is a different issue altogether. But he's positioned himself with his customers so much that restoration, adding the value-added service, as Steve DeBuren says, seems to be the smart thing to do. So he's already going to do it. And I'll give you a quick example of what I had. In the past, I had left the larger company field and said, you know what, I don't want to deal with this 24-hour shit. I don't want to deal with this restoration stuff. I just don't want to deal with it. I want to have my own life. I knew what it's like to be on call all the time, be available for everybody all the time, and that's not what I wanted. So I started this carpet cleaning business, tile and grout cleaning business, my peaceful little thing. Bought my house in the Poconos, nice and quiet, resort area. The life. Put a jacuzzi in and everything. It was awesome. So I did this, and I started referring. People would call me and say, hey, I had this problem. Can you help me? It could be fire damage, water damage, whatever the case was. And I would refer a company out that I met and I seemed to like. Well, after doing that 2 or 3 times, I found out very quickly that apparently they weren't able to give them the level of customer service or client service to say that I was able to give them for the other services. So they said, listen, it was unanimous that the customer service that we were able to give them, the service without excuses mentality, was not being given to them by these other restoration companies. I'm sure they were fine companies. I know the people there, but they weren't really giving them that level of service. So I had already positioned myself as the brand to use with my cleaning services, And I just said, hell with it. I'll go out and buy a small restoration package and start, and bought a few dehues and fans and air scrubber, and I went to town. Well, a couple of years later, I'm doing some serious numbers, and I'm in a 12,000 square foot building, and it was like a whirlwind, and it was all based on reputation. So my position in the marketplace, my position was to have myself as the brand to use. It was so good that even the high-end, like commercial cleaners or house cleaners in the area, I would maybe lose somebody, or they would try to shop me around, say, hey, who else can do my work? And they'd say, Clean Force One. It's the only one we're going to use. It's the only one we've had good luck with. We know that we can get him on the phone. We can get a hold of him. If there's any problem, his guarantee is as good as anything, and his reputation preceded himself. Well, that's your position in the marketplace. You're positioning yourself to be the brand that they want to see and use. So even though most people think I can brand my business, I've got a colleague of mine that runs a huge company, and I've heard of them just because I've been in the industry long enough to know about them, but most people don't know who they are. And they're a huge business down in Virginia, hey Clark. And but if you went down the road and asked 10 people, do you know of this person's business? 9 to 10 of them probably would say, I have no idea. When you need them, you want to know who they are, and that's the position you put yourself in. So just think about that. Think about what you're going to do, and that you can position yourself in the marketplace to be seen as that quote-unquote brand. But you can't brand yourself. Seth Godin said it best years ago when he said branding is dead. It kind of is. The only branding, again, you can do is how you bring your position out there and how you're seen as the person to go to and respect. But that, again, is positioning. You shouldn't be worried about spending a fortune on building a brand unless you want to be a huge company worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Keep in mind, the federal government considers small business anything under $100 million. That's a lot of businesses. So just food for thought here. I'm glad I was able to get it on tonight. I apologize for coming on so late to do my issue of 10-minute kick-ass coaching every single night. I like to try and put this thing out. We're at episode number 30 now. So we're getting there. We're climbing very, very quickly. And I appreciate everybody's time and everybody's feedback. It's really awesome to see everybody here. And just to share in the experience of growing and helping each other's business and helping each other grow both professionally and personally. So, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Again, feel free to comment. Give me your idea. Give me what you think it's going to be. But if you disagree with me about branding, feel free. I'm all about it. I'm all about open engagement. This has been my example, and coming from big branded companies like Stanley Steamer that everybody knows and everybody brands that spend hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, it doesn't make much sense for you to follow that route unless you plan to be that issue. You can still be a huge company, again, under $100 million, and that company does a lot more than $100 million. So make sure you position yourself to the people that are most important around you. Make sure that you position yourself to be seen as the authority, as the trusted and loved and respected person that you are. All right? Have a great evening. I appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you again tomorrow on another episode of 10-Minute Kick-Ass Coaching. Again, it's coming to you every single night, every single day, one way or the other. So, all right. Have a good night. Thanks. Bye.